J.A.B.S, I've heard a few of his records in the past. This is my favorite one so far from him. And I liked how they it kind of had that like cypher feel to it. Like you could hear them in the background on the hook and they were passing it back and forth. And shout out to whoever mixed it. It definitely had like that. It had that sound, and it felt like its own thing. So I liked it. It had the energy. Yeah, it was familiar, but like fresh. Welcome to another episode of Stamped. This is episode 12. I'm your host, Samuel Patrick. I'm joined today by Kiki.D. Welcome to the studio, Kiki.
What's up? What's up? Rise and shine.
Rise and shine. I'm shining. I'm risen. How are you feeling
I know
today?
you see the lights too.
Oh, yeah. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling hydrated, feeling ready for the year, being that it's the top of the, it's the first quarter. It's off to a consistent start. Let's see what momentum we can build, especially with this being episode 12 and another paid submission that we'll be featuring and talking more about later on.
Yep. We're up and moving. 12 feels like a big number too. I know 4s are pretty good. We got 3 of them if you're into the numerology, but that's not what this is about. What we do here on Stamped is we get a ton of submissions from artists around the country, around the world even. And what happens is Kiki.D and I go through our submissions and we pick some of our favorites and we share them with y'all. We also have another way where artists, and this is what Kiki was referring to, where if artists want to get a little more input from us, a little more detail, jump to the top and guarantee themselves that feedback, they can do a paid submission. And so we got one of those we're going to get to later today. But we're going to kick things off with a few that were sent in. And I guess while we're doing the New Year stuff, some resolutions, I want to the artists out there who are tuned in, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you this year to expand your approach to music, expand your thoughts of what your music could sound like. Try some new things, rap or sing on some beats that maybe you wouldn't have touched before. Experiment vocally, just make weird noises in the booth, whatever. Just try some new things. See if you can play with your sound and see if you can take it somewhere new. I know at the beginning you gotta, follow established norms and sounds and stuff like that. But I'd like to hear some new stuff from y'all. When we go through literally hundreds of submissions. I could spend every day, all day listening. And eventually it really starts to, the people that are doing their own thing and sounding different, they really start to pop out. And especially the people that take that extra bit of time to maybe get it mixed or mastered and take it a little bit further that way as well. So just make sure you're sounding different. Play it next to some music you've heard before and make sure you're sticking out and you're not just, falling into the background. So that's my challenge for y'all right now.
Right.
So Kiki.D, we're going to kick things off with Rosewood 2055. It's called $1 Million Trap House. And we're going to get into it right now on Stamp.
Going John Stockton with the postmark. Smoking marijuana Mozart. Real loud, but it sound good. Money come and let the show start. With the flow chart and the Ozark. Had a slow start, but I'm back on. Bitch, tap in. Dick could probably make a back bend, but she tapped out. Want no parts. Pussy niggas got no heart. And it's all gas in my go-kart on go mode. Hitting bottom, get the soul cold. With my niggas like the bro code. All or nothing, shoot the tax up. Stacked up till I'm maxed out. Took the back route. $4 million trap house and we mashed out. All bets in, cashed out. But every time a nigga crapped out, took the back route. $4 million trap house and we mashed out like, ayy.
$1 Million Trap House, Rosewood 2055. This was a great dynamic duo. This was 2 artists on the track, and they both have memorable lines for me. I believe this is one of 5 tracks on their EP, so definitely go check it out if this is your flavor, if this is your sound.
Word, yeah. Appreciate you bringing them to our attention. I really like the first dude's voice.
Okay.
I think he's got a great voice for it. I like that, and I liked how he kept staying with the like the Mozart with that rhyme scheme. Even when it looked like he left it, he would bring it back to it. I think he brought it back with like No Heart later. And then eventually like they went back and, you know, got to the trap house. But I like that. I like the real loud and it sounds good, you know, that Mozart line. But I liked his voice a lot. I would have liked a hook. I would have liked more of a hook.
Bingo, because what you first said is exactly what stood out to me. Because, you know, sometimes I can be picky about that. I'm like, if you're not having a consistent rhyme scheme, it might throw me off. But this was done in an artistically aware way. This is another level as far as penmanship. And a lyricist can recognize that. I'd also say that they do have a hook. They do have a chorus. It's when they keep saying $1 Million Trap House, it's just a more on and on.
Yeah, no, I definitely got that. I thought it was cool. I like the voice a lot for sure.
Okay.
And I'll be tuned in.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely believe they pretty much hid the chorus in a way. It didn't have as much of a change in the production as a typical song might or may have during the chorus. So I totally get what you're saying.
They also said they took the back route, so it makes sense they did it a little differently. I got it.
Right.
Shout out Rosewood 2055. So that's our first record on episode 12 with Stamped. And I'm going to keep things moving here with this one from J.A.B.S. It's called I Won, crossover, featuring ANSON Raps and Brandie Blaze. And
Nice.
This one, before I get into it, I'll say this one it stood out to me because, like I said, or I hinted at, we were kind of getting really similar sound and stuff. And I was sort of getting a little discouraged maybe going through things. I was like, okay, this song. And then this one, to me, even though it still felt a lot like what we were getting, it stood out in its own way. And so, and it's the home team. So shout out J.A.B.S. We're going to get this one rocking here. You tuned in to Stamped.
These bars take off your top frying pan. Yeah, I'm a digger, nigga. You mink eyelashes, red lipstick, you can't see a nigga. Wait, gas rappers, I'm a singer, nigga. Blonde hair, black fur, make that pussy purr. Stick 'em down, yeah. Yo, bitch, call me sir. I make these niggas sick. They wanna hurl.
Spit harder, hit harder than Rocky. Raps in the house, got the crowd all blocky.
Yeah, they call me Blaze, got it poppin' like lace.
ANSON J.A.B.S who spit harder than Blaze. When they try to stop us, we cross over, then we pass them. We cross over, then we pass them. Looking back and now we laughing. We cross over, then we pass them.
I saw you during Brandie's verse.
How the lines were so memorable. It's like, how can you not smile at some of them?
Yeah, so that right there is why I picked it, because like I said, I'm not usually checking for, you know, boom bap stuff like that, but this one was both like nostalgic and live enough that it worked for me. Like, it was interesting how like the beat was pretty, like, no shots, but it was pretty, like, I almost want to say generic for like the throwback. Like, it sounded like if you were recreating a boom bap beat from back then, what it would sound like. And then like, but in a very nostalgic way. Like, they didn't try to recreate it. They just kind of did the thing. And then it immediately reminds you of Busta, how they come into it. And then they were just so live. Like, ANSON and Brandie are both very unique artists, and they both had like vintage verses from them, I think, where they really shined and did their thing. And J.A.B.S, I've heard a few of his records in the past. This is my favorite one so far from him. And I liked how they like, it kind of had that like cypher feel to it. Like, you could hear them in the background on the hook, and they were passing it back and forth. And shout out to whoever mixed it. It definitely had like that. It had that sound, you know, and it felt like its own thing. So I liked it. It had the energy. Yeah, it was familiar, but like fresh. A good introduction if you don't know those artists either.
I haven't heard a J-Ferr sounding track like that in a while, so that's definitely why I appreciated it. And seeing the combination of the punches thrown by ANSON raps, J.A.B.S, and Brandie Blaze, no pun intended, it flowed. It overall though didn't do enough for me to stamp it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see them go at it again
I feel
on a
you.
similar type of beat or showing a different versatility. And I could definitely anticipate a double stamp on its way.
Let's go, y'all. Challenge extended.
Right.
All right, so speaking of stamping, we're moving to a new phase in the show here. And as we mentioned before, these were submissions we found, going through our inbox, which anybody can submit at lfod.life/submissions. But if you want feedback, lfod.life/stamped. If you want us to really go in, let you know the good, the bad, the ugly about your track, and give you a little bit more energy, a little bit more time, that's how you go about it. lfod.life/stamp. And we had our first submission of 2023, and that is from J-Ferr. It's the Flavor in Your Ear remix. We'll play this, and then we'll be back with y'all Stamped.
I'm a plug for pussy, no need for the vibrators. Y'all know the taste, but here's a little more flavor. Yeah, it's the flavor in your ear, flavor in the ear, it's the flavor in your ear. Yeah, it's the flavor in your ear, it's the flavor in your ear, got the flavor in your ear. Little bit of this, little bit of that, little bit of this, little bit of rap. School these MCs like a bunch of kindergarten kids. Get these rappers shaking like they diagnosed with Parkinson's. I'm too ill, have you seen like the pollen is? Check myself in a minute clinic with the pharmacist. Spitting space bars, hear it from a Martian bitch. Geeking like the school band, how we always marching in. She in a thong, best guess she gon' drop him quick. Mommy, I'm ashamed when she wouldn't hop off the dick. I'm on top of it, really need to lock her lips. Cause she saw other girls started talking shit.
Flavor in Your Ear. First of all, thank you for sending that in. We appreciate you. We appreciate you rocking with us, valuing our opinions. And so now we're going to share them with you. Kiki, I'll let you start.
That song was a nice flavor in the ear. That's kind of why I started the intro saying flavor as well, because that's the effect I feel like the song has on a listener. And then also watching the video, he's got a nice style to him. So that's what I feel like he's saying and boasting about throughout the song. But for me, it was over rapping and an old school sound and just not something that I would replay.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, it's not for me. It's not for me, but that doesn't mean there's not an audience for it.
Right.
I feel like it would be super useful. I did notice it's from a couple years ago, so maybe some of this feedback you've already heard, my guy. But I thought it would be, that's the type of record, though, super useful as like a show opener, especially if you're playing a show where you don't know a lot of people there, because people are going to hear a familiar beat. They'll start nodding their head. They're already interested in what you're going to do. And then, it's 5 minutes of punchlines, so you got to salute that one way or another. Plus a few flows, and so there is definitely an audience that would want to hear that. It's not necessarily for me, but that doesn't mean it's not a good record. I'll pass it back to you unless you want me to keep going. I got a bunch of notes.
J-Ferr, you could tell he's probably still in the early stages of his career, so I'll be on the lookout for more of his submissions. But that's really what stood out to me. Lots of confidence, which is great. Lots of bars, so his pen, can go on and on. What's next, in my opinion, really is, can you create a song?
I feel that.
Anybody can create a rap. And raps typically are very long. You know what I mean? But can you make a song? Hey, that rapped.
Yeah, I feel that. What do you have to say? We know he's getting laid, But allegedly.
Right, yeah.
So,
right.
And I would say just while we're given like that constructive criticism, it was well mixed. I would pay attention to like your enunciation, like especially if you're going to be doing punchlines. Like we want to hear every word so that they hit. There were a few times I wasn't quite sure what you were saying. Speaking of punchlines, I'll tell you my favorite. My favorite was when he said, find my balance on a money beam. No, I'm on a money beam, find my balance and I walk it. Like Jesus on water, y'all sleeping, I've been exhausted. And then on the flip side, I gotta ask, like, whiter than the cotton picked. That one kind of popped out at me as like I don't know, like slavery metaphors. Like I feel like, I don't know, you might want to consider whether that is the type of thing you want to be invoking. You know, not everybody is going to respond or wants to hear about that or be, you know, I didn't know how important it was that you were white, that made it into the song, but like using that way to tell people you were white was like a bit of a head scratcher. So just something to think about. And then like right after, speaking of not being able to understand, you said something about like half bred with darker skin. So like I was very confused during that part. So if you want to clarify any of that in the comments, like I'm just curious, but definitely something to consider when you are doing punchlines, like what you're invoking and what you want to invoke. But yeah, solid intro for sure. And I'm sure that song, it looks like it's one that it'll have some legs and you can use that for a while, you know, like I said, show intros, just introducing yourself, you know what I mean? I get the point was, you know, to have a bar fest, you know, show people you can rap. Shout out everyone today who sent their records in. Shout out J-Ferr. We'll be hitting you with some emails with these promo clips and all that. We'll be hitting all of y'all with those. So shout out Rosewood 2055, J.A.B.S, ANSON Raps, Brandie, Blaze. Shout out you, Kiki.D. Shout out all the artists who've submitted. We love getting your submissions. We love hearing what y'all got going on. Like I said, I'm going to challenge y'all to really push it this year. I want my ears to be confused. I want to have to run it back and say, what was that? You know, I want to be confused, you know? So please, that's lfod.life/submissions. You can hit us with records. If you want to hear more from us, more about what we got going on, that's all at lfod.life. You can drop your comments below or at us, guess where, at LFOD Life. Shout out to Kiki.D, the LFOD team, and all our members who make what we do possible. All right, we'll catch y'all next time. Appreciate you. Peace.
Peace.
Positivity is a better movement. Let us do this. Level up and get into this evolution. Revolutionary math and music. Get us choosing everything but less excuses. Shout out to the kings and queens with everything to lose that never loses. So much glory in the story.